Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another instalment of the Now Review. Now, Glam Pop 70s. So, let's have a look at this cover. I mean, yeah, it's very of its time. The 70s font is very of its era, that sort of weird, small, squiggly S, all the stars around, you know, very big, very, well, I want to say disco, but of course this is Glam Pop. Glam Pop as a genre was that sort of very, in some senses exaggerated, very flamboyant style of pop, you know, very unapologetic, very out there, very 70s quite aptly. And they've gone with this again, the bottom text like they did on Decades of Love, and this one, let's have a look at what it says. It says, pop perfection from the sensational 70s includes Queen, Sweet, Slade, Mud, Suzi Quatro, T-Rex, Elton John, Alvin Stardust, Wizard, Roxy Music, 10cc, Sparks, the Rubettes, ABBA, Bay City Rollers, the Osmonds, Steve Harley, and Cockney Rebel. So, a lot of great artists lined up on there, and I do actually love the mix of colours here. I love the combinations of blue and the purple shadings. It's just a very pleasing image to the eye. The 70s bit is a tiny bit hard to read from a distance, but that might just be me. I've not got the best eyes. I also do like the star continues in the middle of the O. Again, it's just very, very symbolic of that time, really, isn't it? And glam pop as a genre is something that now hasn't explored on their album covers anyway, in the sense we haven't had a now glam pop album before. But how does it hold up? That's the question. Here is the track list, and again, like Decades of Love, we're going with the 4-disc design. I'm wondering if the 100 hits motif has now been consigned to history, which of course were 5-disc releases. Decades of Love had 80 tracks on it, so let's have a look at this track list and see just what's on here. Okay, so looking down initially on CD 1 and 2, yeah, there are some classic. I mean, Killer Queen to kick off track 1 is like the quintessential, you could argue, glam pop track of the era, especially for Queen. You've got Slade, T-Rex, Sweet, Wizard, a lot of the names that they put on the front, of course. Waterloo's on here. Would you say that was glam pop? I suppose it is. Glam rock is a genre that I think is more well known as a term. Glam pop, not so much. But yeah, there's a lot of good tracks here so far. Just scrolling a bit further down so you can see the range of tracks on here. Apologies if I'm not naming tracks individually as much. It's just, again, the distance I'm filming this and my eyes, hard to read. But from what I can see, you know, you've got Leo Sayer on here, Lou Reed, Mott the Hoople, Mungo Jerry's on here in the summertime, of course. That, I don't know really what genre that is, to be fair. So finishing discs 1 and disc 2, you know, you've got Sparks with This Town Ain't Big Enough for Both of Us, and Steam with Na Na Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye. Both 20 tracks, that's 40. Let's have a look at CDs 3 and 4 and see what it bolsters it up to. So CD 3 kicks off with Sweet and Ballroom Blitz, an absolute classic song. And CD 4 is the Bay City Rollers with Shang-a-Lang. And then as you go down, you know, a lot more recognisable names. A lot of artists do appear twice. I guess if that was their genre back in the day, they were going to make repeat appearances here. I know it's on disc 4. Track number 9 is Jackson 5, ABC. Again, I've never really classified that as glam pop before. I mean, it was very early 1970, just at the start of the decade. It has a lot of overtones of, you know, the 60s bubblegum pop thing that was going on. So, is it a stretch to call it glam pop? Maybe, in my opinion, but I get where they're coming from. And looking at the second half of disc 3 and 4, more recognisable names. Paper Lace, ABBA again with Honey Honey, an interesting choice. They go for Waterloo, which was their first hit, of course, then Honey Honey, which is more well known now because of the Mamma Mia musical, but yeah, still an interesting choice to put on here compared to some of their other stuff from the same era, like SOS or something like that. Rounding off this album, on disc 3 you have Jeff Beck with Hi Ho Silver Lining, and on disc 4 you have The Pearls with Guilty. Both of these have 20 tracks as well, so like now Decades of Love, the total track list on this album is 80. So folks, 80 tracks seems to be the new standard instead of 100. Let's open it up. See what we've got. Also available is Now 100 Hits Legends and Now 100 Hits 60s number ones. Again, this is the exact same advertisement that was seen in Decades of Love. I guess they were produced too close together that they couldn't put Decades of Love in there for whatever reason. And follow Now Music on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. They've abandoned Snapchat, it seems, because let's face it, it's 2021. If you haven't abandoned Snapchat yet, what are you doing? There is the cover without the title. That looks really cool, actually, with all the stars. It's one of those where you can clearly see how they thought out where the title was going to go. But I do like this sort of motif anyway. It's quite cool, if you ask me. And opening up further, right, we've got this layout again. The sort of mock vinyl sleeves, as I call it. For a bit of context, these were sort of present on the 60s releases, so Now 100 Hits, Forgotten 60s, 60s number ones, which I understood because, you know, that they sort of mimic that sort of vinyl pull-out thing of the 60s era. However, with Decades of Love last time, and now Glam Pop 70s this time, they have continued this format. My biggest theory is it's a cost-saving measure. Less use on plastic, you know, more of this cardboard stuff just to house the discs. Does it mean the discs are a bit more vulnerable? Technically, you could argue yes. But I mean, they've been doing the whole flipbook style for many years now, and it just saves on those old fat box plastic, you know, cases that will end up in landfill. So I do understand it as a cost-cutting measure. All of them are the same colour, all a sort of silver. It would have been cool for different colours, especially since this is, you know, meant to be glam, and glam was all about, like, you know, colour and whatnot. So yeah, interesting there. So that is the album, like, in a brief nutshell. In terms of where you can get it, well, I ordered mine. I've got a funny story. I've ordered mine on Amazon, but then it was announced that the price was coming down, because on Amazon I paid, it was listed for ages as like $15.99 or something, which is ridiculous, but I paid it anyway. But then it got reduced to £9.99 on the day of its release. But you should be able to get now Glam Pop 70s in all the major supermarkets, you know, Tesco, anywhere that still sells and stocks CDs, which is not many as the days go on, but anywhere that still does, you should be able to find it in there. Or you can order from HMV online, you can order from Amazon online, any sort of online retailer like that, and you should be able to nab a copy of this album. But is it for you? Well, with Glam Pop, again, it's like any genre, it's selective whether you like it or not. If you like that sort of early to mid, and to a degree late 70s, sort of, you know, big, exuberant, exaggerated style, like the early works of Queen or stuff by T-Rex, things like that. If you love that sort of stuff, you absolutely need to pick this album up, especially as Now hasn't done a Glam Pop album in the past. If they had, I'd be a bit more hesitant. Some songs do, you know, cross over on past releases of, like, you know, Now 70s or Forgotten 70s, things like that. But for the most part, I think most of these tracks are fairly unique to this collection so far. Someone can probably check me up on that. But yeah, if you like Glam Pop, go for it. If you don't like Glam Pop or the 70s in general, stay well away. And it makes me wonder, now they're going with this sort of, you know, not 100 hits, 4-disc, 80-track style, what are we going to see next? Are we going to see more retreads like with the Love theme, or are we going to see, hopefully, new genres like Glam Pop be explored? But that's all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed it, leave a like on this video and let me know in the comments, are you going to pick up Now Glam Pop 70s, or are you going to ignore it? Is it not for you at all? Please subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and until the next one, I will see you guys next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, to Bose Krotz and Polsky Liz, our AMTV staff members.